Calaroga Shark Media.
Hi there, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Let's all wish Moshe Kasher some good luck. He's been diagnosed with tonsil cancer. He revealed this on Instagram on Father's Day. He said, 3 months ago, I found a bump on my tonsil. It was cancer, which did not rule so hard. On Friday, he underwent a procedure in L.A. Moshe Kasher joked that a Jewish surgery robot at Cedars-Sinai yanked my jaw open for 5 years and cut it out and then slit my throat and dissected my neck, leaving me with a hardcore neck scar which will make people reluctant to street fight me. He said his tongue was clamped and yanked out of his mouth. It's so swollen and bruised, I sound like I am Sam, referring to Sean Penn's character. Kasher wrote, "This has been the most terrifying and consciousness-consuming experience of my life. My life has been terror, meditation, tears, and medical planning. Oh, and 12-hour days on set pitching jokes. I truly cannot believe I managed to work an entire movie while dealing with this, but Judd, Apatow, presumably, could not have been more kind, supportive, and nurturing friend, all while being on the verge of a 5-hour energy overdose from this terrifying habit." Kasher said, "I'm in pain, but the good news is the cancer I have has an incredibly high cure rate in the 95% zone. He's waiting to hear if he needs radiation, but regardless, I will be okay and back to being a cool dude ASAP." He joked that the good news is that he was diagnosed with the type of cancer you get from sex. He encouraged his followers to get checked and to vaccinate their kids, writing, "HPV-positive tonsil cancer is an epidemic in men under 55. He and his wife, Natasha Leggero, recorded an episode of their Endless Honeymoon podcast right before the surgery. Kasher said, "Thanks to Natasha and all my wonderful friends who've been so supportive, I woke up on that operating table so flooded with emotions and gratitude for my life and the gift of consciousness. I can't wait to get back to work, but for now, I breathe, I walk, I eat, I survive, I live." Let's also feel terrible for Sebastian Maniscalco, who the Wall Street Journal tells us blew out both his calves telling jokes. This sounds very serious. I wonder if Sebastian made a stupid face for the camera while talking to the Wall Street Journal. They were curious what his morning routine is like when he's not on the road. Sebastian said, "Like a lot of people, I look at social media for how to be a productive individual. I was setting my alarm for 4:30 in the morning to work out and get everything out of the way. Then I said to myself, why the hell am I getting up when I really don't have to? I pushed my workouts till later, and now I get up when my body tells me to, usually around 6:30. I generally have 2 cups of coffee. Then the whole family gets in the car and goes to school. I have 2 kids, 7 and 9. That 22-minute drive is great because they're strapped in. They can't move. You can talk to them. I do a steam for 20 minutes, then jump in the cold plunge. My dad is like, I've never done any of this, and I'm living till 80. And I go, yeah, but you look like a crustacean." So that was when the Wall Street Journal asked Sebastian Maniscalco, "Have you injured yourself telling jokes?" Again, if you missed the lead story, Moshe Kasher has tonsil cancer, and Sebastian Maniscalco has twice injured himself telling jokes. That's right, he tells the Wall Street Journal, "In Detroit, around 2017, as I was leaving the stage, I kind of leaned back and popped my calf. I had to limp off and then be in a wheelchair the next day at the airport. Then, a year and a half ago, I snapped the other calf doing a joke at the Wynn in Las Vegas. This was mid-set, and I mentioned it to the crowd because I had to be stationary. It's not like I'm playing football, but when you're jumping and leaping and doing this, that, and the other on stage, then going to the next city and sleeping in a different bed, it all wears and tears on your body. Boy, being a comedian is just so hard. You got to feel bad for Sebastian Maniscalco and, of course, Moshe Kasher. Now, somebody who actually plays football is Travis Kelce, and TMZ tells us Travis Kelce gave off bachelor party vibes in San Diego on Sunday night. Travis and his posse went to see Dave Chappelle perform. And then TMZ captured the Kelce and crew leaving on their very own party bus. On the party bus was Jason Kelce with other, quote, 8 other athletic-looking dudes. It is unclear to me if Dave Chappelle did any transgender jokes and if Travis Kelce laughed at them. I will investigate and let you know. TMZ also reports on Saturday night a massive fireworks display popped off outside the Ocean House near Taylor Swift's estate in Rhode Island. Rumors are they will get married July 3rd. The Mark Twain Prize for American Humor honoring Bill Maher. That's right, I said Bill Maher. And you're like, John, did you say Bill Maher? The script is wrong. No, it's Bill Maher. The Mark Twain Prize for American Humor is honoring Bill Maher, and it will air on Netflix on July 21st. Now, you may recall last year they honored Conan O'Brien, and a whole bunch of people, including dramatic actor Adam Sandler, were there, and it was great. Well, here's who's going to be at this one. Well, there's an update on who's coming for Bill Maher. The event itself takes place June 28th at the newly unrenamed Kennedy Center. Guests will include Louis C.K., not so canceled, Whitney Cummings, Woody Harrelson, Ariana Huffington, Jay Leno, John Mellencamp, and Stephen A. Smith. The greats of comedy will be there, yes. Roma Darby is the VP of Public Relations at the newly unrenamed Kennedy Center. Roma said, "We're delighted to once again partner with Netflix to bring the Mark Twain Prize for American Humor, the nation's most prestigious comedy honor, to audiences everywhere. Comedy fans will have a front row seat to an evening of comedic candor not to be missed." Ricky Gervais is out and about hawking his new animated comedy series, Alley Cats. Created, directed, and co-produced by Ricky Gervais, Alley Cats has a roster being described as the Avengers of British comedy. Ricky himself plays Gus, a fat, lazy, rude, and opinionated creature with fangs. Diane Morgan, who some podcasters have a crush on, plays Olive. David Earl plays Puke. Tom Basden as Ponce. Kerry Godleman as Lara, Aaron Brooke as Fang, and Joe Harley as Kitten. So again, people are calling Tom Basden, Kerry Godleman, Andrew Brooke, and Joe Harley the Avengers of British comedy. Not sure how I feel about that. I feel like Last One Laughing UK had better casts. Regardless, the series features a bold 2D animation style. There is a trailer. I'll play a bit of it before it starts to get a little too naughty for this program.
Hi, gang. How are we?
Hungry, tired, full of hate and fury.
Why?
We're cats.
So am I, and I'm none of those things.
Sorry, I should have said we're cats with balls.
Bollocks, you heard of them?
Clever.
What's the plan for the day?
Try to find the kids' home. Get distracted immediately. Kill something. What's the biggest thing we could take down if we work together?
Dunno. Fat kid?
Yes, bag us a little wagyu fat kid.
Alley Cats will be on Netflix this August. The series follows the trials and tribulations of a group of feral British cats who seek companionship while ruminating about the struggles of everyday life. Speaking of LOLUK, Alan Carr shared that he had one last unused weapon to break the deadlock between David Mitchell and Sam Campbell on, that was season 2. Alan Carr said he was sad they cut out one of Sam Campbell's maneuvers, which was by hiding a stretching man toy in Alan Carr's drink. That was edited out. Carr said he would put it everywhere. He'd put the cup in. I looked down. I'd see this little man. They're idiots for cutting that. It was so funny and nearly caught me out. Campbell then said, I definitely shouldn't say this, but you know what I heard? They had doppelgangers of every person in the show waiting. Now, Carr, who was one of the first comedians eliminated, confirmed it and said they did. I was sitting there with Jimmy Carr, and you and David Mitchell were going on and on. I know people think it's produced, but we were there to like nearly midnight, weren't we? None of you were cracking. And then they said, how can we do it? Then they were like, we've got doppelgangers. Jimmy was going, shall we bring out the doppelgangers? Every one of us had a doppelganger on hand just to come in. So I wonder what yours would have looked like, and I wonder what mine would have looked like. Boy, that's really interesting. I would have loved to have seen that. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, I got some nice comments over the weekend for the Saturday longer deep dive episodes. So thank you for that. Appreciate that. When I was sitting out poolside on Sunday evening, I wrote a couple more of those and might actually record one right after this. Remember that show Outside Tonight? This is YouTube's big play for a late night talk show. I told you that it had 6,000 views. I checked back on Monday around noon. It now has 12,000 views. Deadline was speaking to Jay Leno. They said, your take on late night has gotten you spanked more than a few times, Jay Leno. As well as calling you a hypocrite almost a decade ago over your Monica Lewinsky jokes in the 1990s and your calls for civility, John Oliver in particular has taken you to the woodshed over your criticism of late night getting too partisan. It's ironic because let's be honest, Jay Leno, you're a pal of ex-presidents, but you've been pretty political over the years with your zingers too. Leno said, well, with John Oliver, I did an interview last year with the head of the Reagan Library about the humor of Ronald Reagan. Talked about having dinner with him a couple times and blah, blah, blah at the White House and stuff, and, just telling funny stories. One of the questions the interview asked me was like, how do you think you and Johnny handled politics? Well, we try to make fun of both sides equally. You humiliate, degrade everybody equally. That's it. I mentioned the pressures of life and people cozying up to one side more than the other, and I said, I don't think anybody wants to hear a lecture. Why go for just half an audience? He wanted me to say that Republicans laugh at each other more than Democrats, and I'm not sure I agreed. Anyway, this is all while Colbert still had a job at CBS. 2 weeks later, Colbert gets fired and the interview comes out. Soon after, I picked up the paper and they have a picture of me making an angry face and saying late night hosts are doing it wrong. I didn't say that. But John Oliver goes, hey, Jay Leno, F you for saying that about Colbert. But I never said that. That's why I tend not to take any of it too seriously. I never mentioned another guy or being better or worse or anything. I think they all do a good job. Funny is funny. All the rest, it's just the time we live in, that's all. Deadline. On the flip of that, you had Joe Biden on Jay Leno's Garage this week. You seem to like Biden. What kind of reaction do you expect from the GOP and MAGA? Leno said, they'll write and say, I'll never watch your program again. Yeah, I got it. But here's the thing. First of all, it's free on YouTube. I don't really care if you watch or not, But there'll be all these people, they'll go, Biden's a crook, blah, blah. That I just had his point of view on Trump. It wasn't the whole gamut. Whatever. It's just us driving around. I don't really worry about it. Like I said, we used to brag about the fact that Johnny and I would try to make fun of both sides equally. Looks like that doesn't work anymore. The audience is all over the place. I think the most important thing is to remember funny is funny. Jimmy Kimmel making a strategic mistake and taking the entire summer off. We now know some of the ghost hosts that include Coleman Domingo, Ike Barinholtz, returning hosts Anthony Anderson, Tiffany Haddish, and Jelly Roll. And now we've heard that Rosie O'Donnell will sit in. Jimmy Fallon, opportunity is yours. And that is your comedy news for today. Don't forget to share the show. You could be like, hey, you got to hear what this guy Jay Leno said. Here, let me send you this episode. And you text it to your friend, and then, I don't know, they listen to it. And that's how this works. We're sharing the show in June. Otherwise, I play Amy Schumer singing, and don't think I won't. See you tomorrow.